The Flyers faithful are in mourning today, September 21st, 2025, as the news hits like a slap shot to the gut. Bernie Parent, the Hall of Fame goalie whose steely gaze and butterfly magic backstopped Philly's only 2 Stanley Cups, has passed away at 80. He slipped away peacefully this morning, surrounded by family, though no cause was shared. Just a quiet end for a man whose life was anything but. Just weeks ago at an alumni event, Bernie was grinning ear to ear in his orange and black jacket, swapping shutout stories with fans chanting his name like it was 74 all over again. Tributes are flooding in, Bobby Clarke calling him the bully's heartbeat, Claude Giroux posting legend forever, and Philly streets lighting up with "Only the Lord saves more than Bernie Parent" stickers. Born in the tight-knit streets of East Montreal on April 3, 1945, Bernie wasn't just a netminder. He was a Philly icon who turned saves into sermons, heartbreaks into comebacks, and a city into believers. Let's skate through his story. The kid idolizing Plant, the family that caught every rebound, the low-key life he loved, the wealth from winning, and a legacy that'll echo in every crease. This one's gonna hit deep, grab tissues, but remember, it's laced with the joy he always brought. Picture East End Montreal in the 50s, where winter meant frozen ponds and dreams sharper than skates. Bernard Marcel Parent arrived on April 3, 1945, the baby of 7 in a home buzzing with French chatter and hand-me-down sticks. Dad Claude labored in factories. Mom Emily stretched every meal with love, their grit teaching Bernie that pucks and life don't stop on their own. As the runt, he tagged along on sibling shinny games, peeking at neighbor Jacques Plant's window like a pint-sized spy, heart racing at the thought of those glove saves. School? A pit stop. Rinks were his classroom, where he'd face brothers' blasts till dusk, fingers numb but fire lit. Money was tight. No fancy gear, just scavenged nets and endless hustle. But family was the glue. Claude's nods and Emily's hugs fueling his first shutout thrill. Those roots forged his mantra. Face the fear, embrace the shot. By teens, Niagara Falls Flyers' junior glory, 2 lowest GAA trophies, had scouts buzzing, landing him with Boston at 20-65, maskless and raw against the league's beasts. Imagine the roar of those junior crowds, the thrill of a shutout making his chest swell as he skated off, knowing his parents were cheering from the stands or back home by the radio. At 20, in 1965, the Boston Bruins called, thrusting him into the NHL spotlight for 39 games. His maskless face a canvas of focus amid the chaos of pro hockey. But the grind was real. Splitting time with the minors, facing doubts about his size, his heart pounding as he guarded the net against giants like Gordie Howe. The 1967 expansion draft changed everything. Left unprotected by Boston, he was snagged by the Philadelphia Flyers, a new team hungry for heroes. Those early Philly years were a crucible, splitting duties with Doug Favell, posting 4 shutouts in 67-68 with a 2.48 GAA, proving he could hold the fort. But a trade to Toronto in 71 felt like a gut punch, a detour that landed him under the wing of none other than Jacques Plant, his boyhood idol turned mentor, whose technical tips sharpened Bernie's game like a blade on fresh ice. Picture the surreal joy of that season, soaking up wisdom from Plant at 43, the two sharing laughs and drills, Bernie's confidence blooming. A brief stint in the WHA with the Philadelphia Blazers in 72-73 was a lucrative side quest, but Philly called him back in 73, and what followed was pure magic, 2 Stanley Cup runs in 74 and 75, the Flyers' only championships, with Bernie as the backbone, earning Vezina and Conn Smythe trophies both years. Feel the electric roar of the Spectrum, fans chanting "Bernie, Bernie!" as he stopped 47 wins in 73-74, his mask a shield, his heart a furnace. Those were the Broad Street Bullies days, where his calm in the crease let teammates brawl, knowing he'd save the day. But February 17, 1979, shattered it all. An errant stick through his mask's eye hole during a Rangers game, blinding him temporarily, ending his career at 34 with permanent vision damage. The Flyers retired his number 1 that October, and the Hall of Fame nodded in 84. But those moments of triumph hid nights of doubt, wondering if he'd ever see clearly again. His family's quiet strength pulling him through. That family was Bernie's rock, a circle of love that held fast through the highs of Stanley Cups and the lows of a career cut short. Growing up as the youngest of 7, he was shaped by siblings whose names he kept private. But you can imagine the roughhousing, the shared dreams, the late-night talks that fueled his drive. His parents, Claude and Emily, were his first fans, their pride palpable when he'd call home from road trips, sharing tales of saves that felt like miracles. Later, Bernie built his own family, marrying Carol in the late 60s, a union that brought 3 children, sons Kim and Bernie Jr. and daughter Patty. Picture their home in suburban Philly, a modest split level alive with kids' laughter, Carol balancing the chaos while Bernie was on the road. His calls home filled with promises of fishing trips or backyard hockey. The marriage weathered the NHL's demands but frayed under fame's strain, ending in divorce by the early 80s. A quiet heartbreak Bernie rarely spoke of, choosing respect over gossip. In 2016, at 71, he found love again with Gini Gramaglia, an Italian firecracker 20 years his junior. Their summer wedding a joyful reset that brought light to his later years. No kids came from this marriage, but Gini's warmth filled the gaps, joining him at Flyers events, her laugh a new melody in his life. His children, now grown, Kim a father himself, Bernie Jr. in business, Patty a creative soul, remained his pride, their visits to his South Jersey home brimming with stories of grandkids' antics, Bernie beaming as he taught them to skate. The losses cut deep, his parents long gone, the divorce's sting, the vision injury that stole his game. But family was the net that caught him, from sibling pep talks in Montreal to Gini's hand in his during health checkups. Untold are the tender moments. A Christmas where he played Santa for grandkids, or Gini surprising him with a framed photo of his '74 Cup save. Reminders that family was the save he never missed. Bernie's lifestyle was as unflashy as a practice jersey, a deliberate choice to savor the simple over the spotlight, even with a net worth estimated at $3 to $5 million by 2025. After retiring, he settled in Voorhees, New Jersey, in a cozy rancher surrounded by pines, far from the glitz of Philly's Center City. Mornings started with black coffee and the sports page, his eyes scanning Flyer scores while he planned the day. Maybe a round of golf at a local course, where he'd trade jabs with old teammates, or a quiet hour fishing on a nearby lake, the silence a balm after years of rink roars. Afternoons often meant community work. Coaching young goalies at Flyers camps, his patience as steady as his glove hand, or signing pucks for fans at alumni nights, his stories of 75 drawing gasps and grins. Evenings were for family. Grilling steaks with Gini, catching a Phillies game on TV, or hosting kids and grandkids for barbecues where he'd spin tales of facing Bobby or... He wasn't one for extravagance. No yachts or private jets, just a reliable SUV for Jersey Shore trips, a wardrobe of Flyers caps and polos that screamed, "I'm home." Health was a priority post-injury. He stayed active with walks and light workouts, but age brought whispers of aches, and by late 2024, subtle tremors hinted at something more, though he brushed it off with that trademark grin. Philanthropy flowed naturally, supporting vision research after his injury, backing Philly youth hockey programs, his wealth a tool for giving back, not showing off. Imagine him at a rink watching a kid make their first save, his nod saying more than words, his life a testament that the best goals aren't scored. They're shared. That wealth, modest for a sports icon, came from a career of smart plays and steady hustle, built on NHL salaries that peaked in the 70s at about $200,000 a year, big for an expansion era but peanuts compared to today's stars. Royalties from those Cup years, boosted by Vezina and Conn Smythe honors, kept flowing, as did residuals from endorsements like CCM gear deals that leaned on his legend. Post-retirement, coaching stints with the Flyers in the 80s and 90s plus ambassador gigs, think rink openings or jersey retirements, added consistent checks. Speaking engagements at hockey banquets and cameo spots in documentaries like The Broad Street Bullies padded the nest egg, while savvy investments, likely in local real estate, grew quietly. No Wall Street gambles or flashy ventures. Bernie's money went to family, college funds for kids, a trust for grandkids, a home that welcomed all. Picture the quiet thrill of a royalty deposit, not for luxury but for a shore vacation with Gini, his wealth a safety net woven from decades of stopping more than pucks. In a world of sports excess, Bernie's fortune was his integrity. Enough to live well, love deeply, and leave a mark that didn't need a dollar sign to shine. Then came the twilight, subtle at first. A tremor in his hand during a 2024 signing, a softer voice in interviews, the early whispers of Parkinson's that he faced with the same stoicism that stopped slapshots. Diagnosed last October, he went public with it, candid as ever on a podcast, joking about his new dance moves, while vowing to fight for research, his brain pledged to science like a final save. But pneumonia crept in, a complication that sapped his strength, leading to that hospital stay where, surrounded by Gini and the family, he took his final breath this morning, September 21st, 2025, at 80. The hockey world's reeling, fans sharing clips of his 74 cup-clinching save, teammates like Bobby Clarke calling him the heart of the bullies, Philly's streets awash in orange and black tributes. His family grieves privately, holding memories of a dad who'd trade the crease for their hugs any day. The pain of loss tempered by a life that scored on every count that mattered. Bernie parents' 80 years were a masterclass in resilience. From Montreal's frozen ponds to Philly's roaring rinks, a family man who made saves feel like sermons, a legend who lived humble but loved huge. His story's a hat trick of heart, hustle, and hope, reminding us the best victories aren't on scoreboards. They're in the lives we touch. If Bernie's tale of grit and grace moved you like it did me, please consider subscribing for more stories of legends who redefine the game. And if it hit home, a like would mean the world. It keeps his legacy skating strong. Thanks for being here. Let's keep cheering for Bernie.